Well, we're on to the last or the final album from Stone Temple Pilots featuring Scott Weiland. What's going on, ladies and gents in Cyberland? Coming back to another album review from Stone Temple Pilots. So how do we call this? Because there's two Stone Temple Pilots with this name. I just call it 2010 because there's another one where it's a self-titled too, but it's in 2016, I think. Anyway, this is the last album that featured Scott Weiland as a singer, because after this album, he was fired from the band or he quit, whatever way you want to take it. The point is, he wasn't in the band after this. And for whatever reason, I think at this point, Scott just, his demons overcame him. You know, he passed away a couple years after this album. He was out on tour doing his own thing, and people were saying before he died that his performances, they could just tell he was just not doing well, which he wasn't. He had been through a lot, I think the things that happened to him at a young age that shouldn't happen to anybody. I think because he never got the type of therapy to cope with that and how to deal with it. His way of coping was drugs, and that just followed him for the rest of his life. And unfortunately, he did lose that battle with his addiction. I think it's a sad thing to have to review that with this, because it's kind of like Linkin Park, even though Chester was a suicide, the way they both ended their tenure with the band was on, in my opinion, just was on a high. With this album, it's not the worst thing I heard, but it's not that good. My rating for it is a 5 out of 10 yes sirs. I can listen to it occasionally. I don't hate it, but at the same time, it's just not really that good of an album. It had a lot of country in it, a lot of country aspects, which is no diss to the country music. It just didn't mesh well for the band. It also felt like the songs weren't really. There wasn't a lot of time spent on crafting them as maybe the albums before, or maybe the band had just run its course with Scott. Lyrics were okay. The musicianship of the albums was never bad. It just wasn't that good. The music just wasn't that good either. I don't hate it, but again, when I listen to Stone Temple Pilots, it's always like it's going to be the last of the albums I listen to. But I listen to it from time to time. My top 5 tracks are Dare If You Dare, Take a Load Off, Peacoat, Hazy, Daze, and Cinnamon. I think the tragic thing is just Scott was so young. He really could have. I don't know if he could have went back and worked with the members of Stone Temple Pilots, just because there was so much stuff, and we as fans, we don't know the whole story. There's their side and there's his side, and then there's the truth. We don't know everything, and we're never gonna know everything that happened. There's just certain things that are not going to be shared to the public. Even if a book's written, it's not everything's going to be in the book, and That's just the way it is. But at the same time, you could just tell in the music, like the relationship was really fractured, and it really just ran its course. I don't know if I'm gonna review the material after it. I just haven't gotten around to it, and that's not to say I don't think it's good. I think what I have heard, I think it's pretty good. It's just, I just don't think, I just haven't, maybe I haven't made time, or just haven't felt ready to get to that material yet. I mean, some albums for me takes longer for me to listen to and spend time with than others, depending on what it is. And I kind of, as I get older, I feel like I don't want to be forced. I don't want to be coerced, or I have to sit down. Because for those who watch these videos, I make content where it's where my heart goes, where my feelings go when I do them. Because I still haven't reviewed Tool. I still haven't gone through a couple other bands that I really like 311 or Weezer. But I don't just want to pump out a review because I need content. I want to sit back and think about what I'm listening to and enjoy it, and then give my sides of it. I don't want to feel like I'm typing something. I want to just speak from the heart when I give reviews. So if I'm not in the mood to review an album, then I'm not going to do that album yet, because it's forced, and I don't feel like my thoughts are as they're not as genuine, and I feel like I'm just feeding you something along the lines of just like, oh, this is what I think, and read it or watch it real quick and on to the next video. I want to, I always like to give some type of background. And also with this album, I just knew what had happened with the band at this point, and I felt like some of it was a throwaway album. It wasn't, it was just kind of like pushed out and like, okay, we're done. Did I think that the band was calling it quits with Scott? Yeah, it's a possibility. Like the way this album sounds, it could have been going. It could have been already planning to go that way, just because of his antics and his drug use. And how many times can you take not touring and not making a living because one of the members won't get their shit together, And then Scott being bipolar, and I know, like to say the rock star lifestyle, but that shit can get old at a certain point, especially when you have deadlines or when you have to you have contractual commitments to abide to and stuff, and somebody's not doing it, and then everybody gets punished or has to deal with ramifications. And I've heard stories with Velvet Revolver what he was doing too. So I would just say, you've gone through everything else, just listen to it and just take it for what it is. I don't think it's trash. I just think it's just not. It's not that good of an album. It's not the worst thing. It's not like Korn's 10th album. That was pretty awful. But this album has some songs I can get to and stuff that I can listen to, and I can go through the album. But overall, it's just a step down, and it's really sad and unfortunate because this was the last thing that was done with Scott Weiland. I don't think. Yeah, I'm not also trying to say, oh well, if he died, but the album would have been good. It's like, no, I wouldn't. Nobody should die at that age. We should be able to live a long life, doing things that we love and being happy. But unfortunately, his situation just didn't turn out that way. Well, anyway, let's cue the music.